everyone, and welcome to AcquaTalks online. I would like to share some inspiring quotes to get us in the spirit for our talk about real estate and a story about hope and happiness. This quote is by Colin Powell, and you'll find these quotes in our speaker's book. Always focus on the front windshield and not the rear view mirror. May your walls know joy. May every room hold laughter and every window open to great possibility. That was said by Mary Ann Rodmaker. And this is a great quote, my last one that I'd like to share, by Eckhart Tolle. Stop looking outside for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment, for validation, security, or love. You have a treasure within that is infinitely greater than anything the world can offer. I'm Alexandra Wensley, and this is AcquaTalks Online, presented by the Estates at Aquilina, the world's finest residences located in Miami's Sunny Isles Beach, where it's all about the living experience, the lifestyle, and providing great value. AcquaTalks is an online series where we cover exciting and stimulating topics, from conversations about real estate and trends to motivational talks, ways to optimize your business, achieve sales and leadership success, and so much more. Everyone on this Zoom, I presume, loves real estate. Our guest speaker, Holly Parker, sold over $8 billion in luxury real estate. She's with Douglas Elliman in New York City. Holly consistently achieves annual sales in excess of $500 million and has been consistently honored with the firm's most prestigious sales awards. She outperforms sales projections and keeps on setting records. She listens to her clients' needs and has an uncanny ability to anticipate their wants. Today, Holly will share with us how to turn your pain into petrol and how to pivot and thrive. Holly's the author of the successful book called Back on the Market, A Realtor's Guide to Love and Life. Hailing from New York City, please help me welcome Holly Parker.
Hello, Thank you Holly. So much. Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you for joining us. I just loved your book, so congratulations. Everyone, this is Holly's new book. It just came out last year, right? Is that correct?
It came out in December during COVID.
Yes, what a timing. Yeah. It's such a fun read. So thank you so much, but I'm going to let you take this over. Just want to let everyone know we will be recording AcquaTalks as we normally do, and you can find it, the recording, on our Instagram and Facebook for the Estates at Aquilina, and I'll be coming back at the end for Q&A with Holly. So Holly, you want to take it away?
Okay, thank you so much, Alexandra. Thank you guys for joining me. I am going to be talking about turning your pain into petrol and really harnessing that pain to thrive. So a lot of us, actually all of us, just coming out of this pandemic, all experienced unbelievable pain in the last 16 months. And I wrote this book before COVID happened, but I found myself editing it right as we went into March lockdown. And although the lessons that I wrote about I had learned many years prior, I found myself reading my own lessons again to get me through those dark days that were filled with so much fear for ourselves and for the planet. I think back and it still kind of brings me to my knees, how scary those days were. So I really did lean on my own reading through that time to ground myself. The book, as we said, was back on the market. And I hung on to those lessons, and those lessons really served me. And I'm really proud to say that my team was the #1 team during 2020. And although we have received awards before. That one was the most special to me, to my heart, because it truly was the hardest. Those days were dark, and I really had to ground myself. And I'm here to share the lessons of Back on the Market so that we can constantly ground ourselves, because that's what we do. We are in the troubleshooting business, right? And we are there to serve our clients. But I really want to talk about how we need to serve ourselves first before we can help others. So for those of you that are not readers, I gifted my book to a lot of you, but you can also get it on audio that you can hear these lessons. So my story starts back in the 70s, when I was born in New England, growing up, on my banana seats, riding my bike around, singing Olivia Newton-John. Grease was a big deal back then, saying, you better shape up, right? Because I need a man. But, all those lessons back in the 70s were really about kind of someday someone coming and rescuing you, right? Those fairy tales that were read to us at the end of the day, how a prince would show up on a white horse, always exquisitely dressed, the hair slicked back, not a hair out of place from riding through the woods, but someone was coming to save us, and they would save us with a kiss. And then they would bring us back to this unbelievable castle where we would spend the rest of our happy days, right? Happily ever after, in the best castle in the kingdom. So love and real estate have always gone hand in hand. And I never doubted, not for 1 minute, that story was going to happen to me. It was truly my destiny as a little girl who grew up in the 70s, right? Well, unfortunately, that's not what happened. That was not my ending. I got married. I did fall head over heels in love with my prince, and I got married at 25. But at 32, I came flying out of the sky and fell flat on my head and found myself in New York City, desperately sad and alone. And although my career was blooming, I had really made my mark on the New York real estate stage and was one of the top brokers. Then my personal life was absolutely blown up, and I was unbelievably depressed. I had crazy anxiety, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to pull myself out of this despair. My friends were married at that point, and New York City can be a very, very, very lonely place. But one thing I did know how to do is I knew how to market property, and I knew how to help everyone else, it seemed. I just didn't know how to help myself. So I started leaning towards what I knew, and I knew how to get a property launched. So I started to think of myself as that property. And, let's start at the very beginning of fixing the foundation, right? So I went to therapy. I went to a lot of therapy. I went 3 times a week. I found an amazing person who I still go to today. Her name is Jane. She's on the Upper East Side. And I learned who I was after all of this pain, who I was after my divorce. I was alone as an adult. I hadn't been alone as an adult before. So I started finding my way back to me, right? And I started fixing those cracks in the foundation, because after a lot of pain, we all have cracks, and it's okay. But we got to figure out how to repair those cracks, and not the way some of the ways the sellers can fix cracks these days of just throwing some plaster up. I mean, you got to get down and you really got to fix them, whether it's through yoga, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through therapy, whether it's through podcasting, which I'll share with you later. You can't avoid those cracks, because if you build on a foundation that is cracked, we all know that just comes crumbling down after time. So after I had my footing of knowing who I was, then what? Then I had to come up with a marketing plan. What was I going to do? And in real estate, what I had done is I did a 30, 60, 90-day plan. What I was going to do in the next 30 days, who I was going to meet with, who I was going to canvas, who I was going to talk to, how I was going to get that listing. What about 60 days? What about 90 days? I put everything down. Why? Because if you can think it, you can live it. One of my major things that I teach my team and myself is writing things down and saying, this is what I'm going to do this year. I am going to have my best year I've ever had. I'm going to sell $100 million, and this is how I'm going to do it. And that's why I split it up into quarters. But for my personal life, I did that. And when I did that, I practiced meditating every single day. I would start the day in my bed, because that's how I do it. And I lay down and I close my eyes and I start my day with a prayer of gratitude for what I'm already thankful for. What is happening in my life that I'm already thankful of? And I thank that. And then I thank things that I want in the future, but I say them currently. And things like this, I say, I am so grateful of all the love I am receiving around me. I am so grateful of my clients that are supporting me in this profession that I love so much. I am so grateful of the business that is happening and the deals that are allowing me to have financial freedom to do what I want to do with my life. Those are a couple of things that I still say to this day. But that visualization is so strong and so real. I can't say that enough. And I can't say enough that it needs to be daily. For me, the practice of being an optimist is a practice. I do it every day. Someone said that to me just the other day. Oh, you're always up. And I thought, oh my God, are you kidding me? I've been seeing a therapist since I was in 8th grade. I'm always up. No. I'm a practice of always being up, because that doesn't come naturally for this chemistry and this body. That is a practice of yoga, a practice that I bring to my day. So the marketing plan, the meditation, the visualization, all part of the foundation of getting myself up. And then what? Staging, right? Well, what's the first start of staging when we go into a house? We have to figure out getting a lot of this stuff out of the house. What is not serving these people? Their overstuffed closet, their knickknacks. My God, how many souvenirs do you need from every single trip you've always taken? Get the boxes out and get this stuff out of the home, right? But what else? How do you apply that to your personal life? Well, what relationships aren't serving you anymore? What is now just stuff in this room that is overcrowding it and actually making the stuff that is serving you not be your focal point, because there's too many things. So you really got to edit, and you really got to notice being tuned into your life. Who do you spend time with that fills up your tank? Practice that. Practice keeping a journal and saying, oh, I'm going out to dinner with so-and-so tonight. When you return, Write down how you're feeling. Oh my gosh, I'm so drained. If that is a pattern over and over again, limit that. Be protective of your personal time in the exact same way you would protect your professional time. Your personal time is almost even more valuable because that's what fuels us in our professional life, our footing, right? Our foundation. I'm very protective of that time. So once the edit comes, now what? I am really big on plants and flowers as they give us oxygen into the room. They're visual. They are visual optimism, right? They smell good. They look good. It looks clean. A fresh coat of paint. What does that mean? Well, a fresh coat of paint, hello, self-care. Take some time, take a hot tub, a salt bath. Really give yourself that once over that you would give to an apartment. Now, you don't have to be broken up or have your heart broken for this type of messaging because we all need it, right? Whether we're needing to grow our careers, grow our personal lives, whatever it may be, but self-care is always the foundation of success because we got to believe in our own product, right? So that leads me to value, right? That's the big question after we've staged, after we've gotten the windows cleaned, put on a fresh coat of paint. Now their stuff is out of there and they're finally saying, oh my gosh, I can breathe again. I can see my home. Value. What is this property worth? Sometimes sellers can overvalue their property and not take the bids that we should, right? But sometimes people undervalue themselves. Most of the time, we undervalue ourselves. So are we going to be that deal? Most buyers want to go out and find a deal, certainly right now, right? They want deals. Are you going to be that bargain deal? When a seller says to you, you know, I'll take you, but I have somebody who said that they'll do this for 1.5%, and I'll hire you, but only at this rate. Are you going to take that deal? Or are you going to value yourself to say, actually, I'm worth every single penny. And this is why. This is why I bring so much to the table. So if we apply that to our personal lives, don't undersell yourself with who you're spending time with. I had to find my own self-worth to know, nope, that's not how I'm going to be treated. I'm going to look elsewhere. I'm going to keep moving because you not respecting me, you're just not respecting yourself. So we're going to keep moving this down the road. That was very, very important for me to understand my value. And I did that through therapy. And I did that through self-care. And I did that through meditation and connecting to myself. So then that brings me to my launch, right? My launch party, because we know that you can't put an apartment on the market until you are ready to launch, right? And you got to do the work necessary before you launch. You got to take your pictures. And let's face it, we all need a wide lens in real estate, but in our personal lives, a skinny filter is appreciated, right? So you get your pictures, you get your best pictures you possibly can. That's one of our number one marketing tools. And just have them around. I mean, who doesn't like seeing a beautiful picture of themselves going, right on, I look great there, because it helps us remember our value and what we are willing to deal with and what we will not tolerate. So I had my launch party. I celebrated myself and how much I had come through since my very dark days. I had a big party and my clients came, my friends came, and I celebrated myself and I announced to people, hey guys, I'm single and I'm available. So if you have anybody interested that you think would be a great match, let me know. The same exact way we would if we were launching a property, right? The same thing. Get the word out and let people know that this is the real deal. I practiced the hard things because everybody wanted to know what happened. Why'd you get divorced? It's like, wait a minute, I'm just meeting you for the first time, and you want to know these very private, very hard answers to your questions. So I had to practice that the same way we would practice, hey, is that a highway right outside of the master bedroom window? You would practice that, right? You would say, you know what? And isn't it great to be able to get to exactly where you want to go just right outside, right? It's very handy. And I did that. And this is what I came up with. I was married for 7 years. We loved each other very much. And unfortunately, we couldn't stay married to each other. And if we get to know each other through this night and some other times, I'd be happy to share with you some of those things. But tonight, I want to learn about you. So that was how I hurdled those tough questions. And then what? Getting past the board. There's always tough co-op boards in New York City, and we got to prepare for those tough questions. Friends and family, yeah, they can be brutal when it comes to passing a board. So you got to have those questions ready. In New York, we keep it simple. Do not talk too much unless people ask you questions. And then we keep it short and we keep it sweet and we keep it complimentary. Oh, yes, your lobby. It's just beautiful. If I am so lucky to get to live here one day, that would just be a dream come true. So then closing the deal, right? I had to figure out what worked for me in a partner. I had a lot of fear and I had a lot of ghosts. My house was certainly haunted, but I exercised those ghosts and I found a terrific partner who is also in real estate, and he is in commercial, and we have set up a beautiful, beautiful life for ourselves with our children and our career. But I lost another person in my life. I had a friend divorce, and I had a friend for 22 years, also in real estate. And we used to have lunch together every day. We did a lot of deals together. We laughed a lot. He was my partner, my best friend. And we came to a time where he changed companies and he wasn't interested in continuing our relationship. I never really got to the how or the why. And a lot of times in friend divorce, that happens. And it's brutal because we don't have the answers to why, right? But whose best friend breaks up with them after 2 decades? Whose best friends break up with them? They must be a terrible person. They must have done something atrocious for that to happen. But for me, I actually was a great friend and I couldn't find the answers to those questions. I beat myself up for years trying to find the answers to those questions, and I never did. But then I remembered, you know what? You're an amazing friend to this person, and you don't deserve this. I remembered my value through that very painful thing. And I remembered, why are you ever going to let someone question who you are? You are fabulous. You are strong. You are loyal. You are a fighter. And that pain that I felt, and that was the most painful divorce of all, brought me back to myself. I turned my pain into petrol. I remembered who the heck I was. And after that, I decided I would never again question who I was. I would never give myself over to someone in such a way that I would question myself and who I am. And now I've married myself. I am my own best friend. And even though I am married to my partner, Mark Roman, who is wonderful and fabulous, I am my own best friend first. I married myself first. And that is what has gotten me through so many dark times. It is certainly what got me through this pandemic, is to start my day off with myself, connected to myself, knowing my own value, filling my own basket first before I can give to my family, before I can give to my clients. I need to give to myself. And as someone who is codependent, and that worked for me for very many years, to take care of everyone else before myself, I ran out of oxygen. And only then, only drowning in those dark, dark, dark days, going all the way to the bottom, did I look up and realize how to get to the top. So turn your pain into petrol, guys. Hang on to that and never, ever, ever forget who you are. Alexandra, back to you.
Hello. Well, thank you, Holly. You were just so honest and so sincere, and really, you're sharing your personal story with us. So thank you so very much. And you gave us a glimpse of what's in the book. So everybody's that's listening, it's just a little glimpse. Her book is it's beautifully written. It's such a great concept of how you wrote it through the realtor's eyes. I think one of the things you say, what do you say? A first floor apartment will never be a penthouse. I mean, it's just brilliant. But the comparisons between relationships and real estate, I didn't realize that. I've been in the industry a long time, and I just love how you weave it together. So thank you. Your book is filled with tons of information. And it's a fun read too. You feel good after, because it is a success story. And I did meet Mark for a few moments, so he's lovely. So congratulations. But what made you write this book? How long did it take you to write? Have you written other books?
This is my first book. It had been in my mind really since I was single, because I did know how to that is real. It was a Douglas Elliman broker, and he called me up, and he was just getting into the business. And so I would be giving him advice, and then he would ask me about my personal life, and I would fall to pieces because it was in those dark days. And he'd say, "Can you hear yourself? You sound like Jekyll and Hyde. When you talk about your business, you're this strong, amazing woman. But as soon as you start talking about yourself, you just sound so lost and so terrified, like this little girl." And I write this in the book, that when he said that, a light came on, and I realized that I needed to be one of my clients. I needed to view myself as one of my toughest properties. And when I did that, then I knew exactly what to do.
Yeah. Because you're such an expert. You were so successful professionally. I love how you bring the two, and how you said on this call, the 90-day marketing plan.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. So you talked a little bit about affirmations, and I know a lot of us that have read the self-help books, the motivational books. It's always about being positive. And we all try to remain like that every day, but it's hard. You maybe meditate in the morning and then you start your day and it's just like, the kids are screaming. You go to work, something happens, there's a conflict. So what are some of the more of the positive affirmations that you think will help us, everyone who's listening on this call?
I mean, for me, I suffer from anxiety. And so still now, even though I'm in the happiest time of my life, I have my days where that anxiety can really bring me under. And so I feel that chapter that I write about in my book, like, how can I have so much anxiety right now. How can I get myself to a positive state? Because this feels absolutely impossible that I'm going to close my eyes for 15 minutes and change the way that I'm feeling. But you got to trust that it does. And I trust myself saying, just do it. Stop telling me that it's not going to work and just be quiet and do it. And so some of the things that I do say is, I am so loved, even though I feel like everyone's not loving me, not valuing me, not, kind of feeling important as we can feel when we are brokers and we are giving and giving and giving and giving, and you get shut down. It can be brutal, right? It can be absolutely brutal. And you can feel like your tank is empty. And that is certainly the case some days, but you got to go through the practice of this meditation, practice of your gratitude prayers. And I always start with, thank you. I am so loved. Thank you for all of the love that I am feeling.
Yeah, we had a speaker on AcquaTalks previously. His name was David Taylor Klaus, and he talked about gratitude. And his whole thing too was, it's like, do it in the morning, but you do it at the end of the day too. So it's like a bookend from the beginning of your day to the end, which I find helpful.
Yeah, I love that you can't feel fear and gratitude in the same space. So just really not only saying gratitude, but feeling it chases away fear. And anxiety is very much fear-based, right? And so that is something that is absolutely a critical practice.
So do you find you've been doing this all along in your professional life because you're so successful? These positive affirmations prior to your breakup and
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for other people, right? And that was my problem, is I knew exactly how to, I'm a caretaker, right? I always have been. I was born with that, you know, and so I call it BBS, broken bird syndrome. I can find a broken bird anywhere and go, I'm going to save you. I'm going to help you. That's what I do. So being a broker was completely natural for me. You're scared, you're angry, you're getting divorced, you need a new home. I'm like, I will save you. But what I didn't get, and why all of that broke down in the middle of my life, was I wasn't doing that for myself. I didn't know how to take care of myself.
Yes.
And I burned out, right? I hit this wall, this like literally black hole, because I was taking care of everyone else and I ran out of oxygen. So you can't, now I know, but I'm almost, I'm turning 50 next year. I wish I had learned a little bit earlier.
Me too.
I wish I had learned a little bit earlier
Yeah.
that you can take care of others better when you take care of yourself. So I always thought that that was very selfish. I grew up with parents that said, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And so I was almost taught to be codependent. And it's not sustainable, right? That's not sustainable energy. And we talk about that pain is energy, right? Wind is energy. It can blow you over. Water is energy. It can drown you. But if you harness those things, they turn into sustainable energy that can give a lifetime of light and heat, right? So harness your pain know who you are, self-care, and it will take you places you
Yeah,
only.
no, thank you. Um, so then you dedicated a whole chapter in the book about, I think you titled it Appraised Value.
Mhm.
And so talk more about that and how we can um, value ourselves both in real estate with our clients, because many of these people on the call, or just in any profession as well as personally. Give us some tips.
Well, what I thought is so interesting over time is that one time in particular, I was selling an apartment in my building, but the exact same line had sold for 3.8 4 months prior. I believed it was worth 4.8. They had undersold it.
Wow.
Why? Who knows why? Was it the seller? Was it the broker? Was it the condition? The condition was exactly the same. It was new construction. So it was either the staging, how it smelled, whatever. They did not see the value that I saw. And I said, you know what? One person's loss shouldn't determine the value of this. And then I put it on for 5 million and I ended up having a bidding war on it because I say to them, to buyers, well, this sold for 3.8 and it's right underneath. I say, you can go to Bergdorf's and you can pick up a Prada bag that was on sale. But does that mean I could go back there 100 times and not get that same Prada bag? So just because the real estate stars aligned and someone got a deal out of particular circumstances, that's not going to affect how Prada is going to sell their bags throughout the season. So we've, did our best in staging. I call it, lights, camera, action in real estate and love. It's lights, candles, music, action, right? You make it look good. You make it smell good. You make it sound good. You create the ambiance. I knew the value and we were successful at it. So I wasn't going to let one person undervaluing the building determining the future value. And that's important to remember.
Yeah, no, it is. Our owner at the Estates at Aquilina, yeah, he always says, we provide so much tremendous value that yes, you shouldn't lower the price. Yeah, no, that's really important. That's a good example. You talk a lot in the book about co-ops. I learned so much about co-ops in New York. It's crazy.
Crazy.
It is.
Talk about patience and perseverance. Whew.
I know. Yeah, you give great insight in the book. So for your book, I know you've been on a lot of shows like these, and I think it was a Facebook Live with Joan London, and she's such an icon in the media world. So how was that?
Oh my God, it was amazing. I mean, look at that career. Her career over a lifetime. Do you know she has 7 children?
Wow, and she looks great.
She has 7 children. She's in her 70s. She's still going strong. She herself got divorced. And here's a little piece that I don't say, and you probably didn't know. My co-author, Laura Morton, was with her when she met her current husband that she had, these children with. And she, lots of times with stars, people don't come up to them because they think, oh, well, they probably already have someone and they're not interested. So my co-author said, hey, why don't you come and talk to us? And here's my friend's number. She'd love to, talk to you sometime. So, and I say in my book, if you want something, go get it. Don't wait for someone to come and give you that opportunity. Opportunity is what you make it. So go for it.
Yeah, I love the story you give. I don't want to give all the secrets away because I want everyone to read the book. But what you say how you met Mark is you approached him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of always, I have a very, very, very specific type. And so I needed to, I always needed to like make the first move because my type was, one in very few.
Okay. Well, that's good. You're very confident. And I get, yeah, everything has paid off because you wouldn't have probably have done
Confident or desperate. You're
that.
like, that's the one. That's the one right there. I can't wait for him to talk to me. I'm going to go make that move.
So, you also provided the book. It's all, helping people with their relationships and growing personally. But you also provide a lot of real estate tips and financial as well. You want to give some other key takeaways?
Well, financial, is very much like our business plans, right? I always have a business plan every single year of what I'm going to make, what I'm going to sell. I'm addicted to financial books. I just think what's better than building your wealth? And all of these things that I go through, from your foundation to staging to visualizing, can be applied to finance, right? So I always have a goal of what I'm going to make, and I always have a goal of what I'm going to save, because your net worth is what you've managed to save, not what you've spent. So in all of the books that I read, they always said pay yourself first, right? Meaning know what you're going to save. People don't just end up with leftover money. They don't just end up with leftover dessert. They make a plan of, I'm going to have 3 bites of this cheesecake. It's going to taste great, but I'm going to leave the rest on my plate.
Yeah.
It's not because they don't want it. And it's not because they don't want to stuff that whole piece into their mouth. It's because they thought about it and had a plan. So finance, absolutely 100% is planning, 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 planning,
Okay.
visualizing, having the confidence that you're going to do it, having the discipline that you're going to stick to your plan, and having your end goal. Like, what is the point of all of this? And that's very, very, very important for me, because I got to a point in my life where the market was falling apart. I wasn't loving real estate. Every single call was excruciating 4 years ago, because look, people aren't reading it in the papers until it already happened. So we're the ones having to break the news to everybody. So every single call was bad news, and the buyers were upset. They thought that they were overpaying. The sellers were upset. They thought that they were underselling. Everyone, I'm like, I can't, as a people pleaser, no one was pleased. No one was pleased. So my tank was super empty. But, it's really important to have that vision and understand, what are you doing it for? So I had a dream that I wanted to create a place in Connecticut. I bought a farm, and I'm building a sort of entertainment barn there that I'm going to have my clients and friends to, and have retreats. And so that was my goal.
Oh, wow. Sounds beautiful. So, but I love the tip on, because everyone, it's all about healthy eating, but they say the 80-20 rule, but I love that. Yeah. Just say 3 bites of cheesecake. That's a good tip. It's hard. It's hard. But you mentioned financial books. And so Vanusa, who's listening, she says, do you have any suggestions for great finance books?
I'm so old school when it comes to this. My dad was a financial advisor, and so it's kind of innate in my blood. But The Millionaire Next Door was a foundational book for me about really saving and the way to live, and also how to raise our children around money is incredibly important to instill self-worth in ourselves, and also the next generation coming up. So those Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Mom, Poor Mom, those types of things, anything that I can get my hands on, I really, eat up, because It's so important. As I say in the book, it's not just about money, money, money. Money is freedom, freedom to choose, freedom to live. And, you don't want to mess around with your freedom. So financial freedom was always the goal for me.
Mhm. I agree. So, how about motivational books or podcasts that you love? Like you quoted Eckhart Tolle in your book. Did you read
Mhm.
his books, or yeah, who do you
Yeah,
recommend?
I'm a huge podcaster. I love podcasts. They're free. You can do them when you're working out. You can do them when, I go in the infrared sauna a lot. I do them in there. I do them on walks. So I love being able to do two things at once. It makes me feel very
They
productive.
don't do that. You have to like focus.
Yeah. And so, but when you're walking and you are in the infrared, it is a great time to really focus on you. So Tim Ferriss, I love Tim
Mm,
Ferriss and then if you're new to that, just go to Google Tim Ferriss podcast best of Tim,
mm,
and then you can start with the best ones.
okay.
Also Brene Brown, I'm a
Yeah.
huge Brene Brown fan,
Great.
so same thing. Her podcast Unlocked will give you so many. And then that just opens it up, because if there's a
Mm,
guest that really speaks to you, then you can say podcasts with Hugh
mm.
Jackman or podcasts with this person. And then it just opens up and it splinters and off you go into
I
podcasts.
do love Brene Brown,
So
and
good.
she talks a lot about vulnerability, and so that's what your book's all about. I mean, you were so vulnerable, and you just let us all in. That must
Well,
have been really hard.
and daring greatly was a
Mm,
huge part of that, because I really wanted to write a how-to book. I didn't want to talk about my life. Like,
mhm.
what? Why do you guys need to know about my life in order for me to tell you what to do? Right? I just wanted to help people turn their pain into petrol. But why do I have to share what happened to me? And with my co-author and listening to Brene, I realized nobody wants to be told what to do. They want to hear your story and hear, okay, I can hear this because she's giving me something. She's giving me her vulnerable story. And now I'm able to hear it. But when you're up on your soapbox, like, and this is why you just get tuned out. So I got that through Daring Greatly, which is Brene Brown. So she helped me,
Yeah,
the
she's
book that I
brilliant.
wrote.
I also love Oprah's podcast. Anything she
I
does. So,
mean,
yeah. So
that's
there's so
just
many people out there. So,
into
um,
starting there.
but so we're talking about you're so successful in your work, and then you're talking about you have to work on yourself. But like you even mentioned, sometimes you feel selfish, like you take meditation and you're not maybe with your children or your friends or your partner. So how do you maintain that work-life balance? What do you do to make, to take care of yourself, your self-care, but also the people around you?
Well, the thing that really worked best for me during the pandemic, because I had my elderly parents here, 85 and 83. My mom has Alzheimer's. I had the kids homeschooling. Real estate was melting down. So I really, really, really had to find myself, like I say, all over again in a different way
Mhm.
during the pandemic. I had bit off quite a big piece there. So I went to bed really early at 9 o'clock, and I woke up at 5, and that was my me time. I had 2 hours before the kids woke up. And Connecticut, some of our worst month in the Northeast is really March. It's muddy, it's gray, it's cold. There's nothing pretty about it. But I would get up every single day and I would go for a walk, and I would either just kind of do a walking meditation with meditation music, or Maybe it was a day that I needed some really fun music. Maybe it was a podcasting day, but it was one of those three that I would use, and I would stop along the way somewhere and meditate for at least 5 minutes. That was my rule, at least, because I didn't always want to do it. But I did. And that 2 hours that I had before my children woke up and my parents started wrestling around, and that was my oxygen, because I wouldn't have been able to get through the rest of the day giving to all these people without starting with myself.
Yeah, I agree. And it's good because you had a plan. So it's every day, wake up at 5 and do that. So, give us some more tips. So we're just going to close this soon if anyone else has any questions, but there's a few people who are listening that have read your book as well. But give us some more tips on how to sell ourselves, because I like what you said, both professionally and personally. I like what you said, believe in yourself. And when your boss or whoever it is, it's saying, no, I can do this.
Yeah, pretend that you're the property. So if I was talking about myself as a property, what is the thing that I like best about myself? Since I was a kid, I'm really gutsy. I'm a gutsy kid. Truth or dare. I would never pick the truth. Why would you ever pick a truth if you could get a dare? I was always very, very daring. So I would say I'm daring. I'm courageous. I'm adventurous. I'm fun, not so boring. You may not like it, but you won't be bored, right? And you really figure out, what are my best attributes? So if you're applying that to becoming a broker, you can say, I'm not afraid to try new things. I'm not afraid to work outside of the norm and get out there and say, I'm going to do something different to market your property. Why? Because that's who I am essentially. I can't help it. I'm not a hoop jumper. I don't follow the herd. I've always kind of beat to my own drum, and I'm going to take your property places that another broker would never even think of going, because I can't help it. It's who I am. Right? So learn who you are and then spin it, whether you're on a date, whether you're on a job interview, whether you're on a pitch. Really figure out, what is the essence of me? Because the universe gave us all something special, only that we have. And the soonest that we figure out what that treasure is, and stop trying to be like someone else and say, this is my treasure. This is my property's greatest jewel here. And I am going to wave my freak flag with pride here. And this is me. I am a courageous chick, right? Some might call it bossy. Some might call it other words.
Courage. It's like in The Wizard of Oz. I'm reading that with my child. He wants courage, the cowardly lion. So
cowardly lion, right? So just know that and wave it, and weave it into what works.
So, well, congratulations on your book. So do we have another one coming out, or?
Maybe, potentially. There's some ideas in the works. I do have a documentary coming out, and we are hoping to make it to Sundance. So that's really exciting. It's about anxiety in kids. It's called Anxious Nation. So, you go through the process of these film festivals, and then somebody comes and buys it. So we are anticipating that it will be available to all of you next spring on Apple or Netflix or Amazon Prime, whoever bids the most and sees our value. But that's something I'm super proud of, and is, something that's very relevant for us all to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you have twin boys who are 7. So you have to come visit us in Miami, the estates at Aqualina. I think your boys would love it here. walks on the beach are just amazing.
Well, it looks gorgeous. And you were saying a bowling alley. I mean, my guys would go crazy for that.
Oh yeah, my kids love bowling too. Yeah, bowling and ice skating and the movie theater, and we even have that surfing simulator called the Flow Rider. So it's definitely a playground for kids of all ages, and we cater to a lot of young families. So yes, when you come to Miami, we also have our resort as well, Aqualina. So
oh, I can't wait to see it. It just looks spectacular.
Yeah. And so Catherine and Eric say thank you for your beautiful openness and honesty. We love and miss you. Congratulations from a lot of other listeners. So yeah, thank you again for you were authentic and your honesty. Wishing you continued success and very excited about your documentary. Wow, that's pretty amazing. So thank you for everything, Holly. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the next AcquaTalks. Have a great day.